stream where today we are also going to do a book review plus a Q&A. So in the previous live stream just yesterday we talked about some of the unpopular opinions about mystery thrillers and we discussed a book review, a mystery thriller book review. So today we're going to do something similar but something of another genre, and it is going to be rom-com. Okay, so we are going to discuss some common opinions out there about rom-com, and I would give my personal opinion, and I would love to hear your take on it too. Okay, and we are going to discuss a rom-com, and the book that we are going to review today is this, Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. And mind you, this is not one author. Christina Lauren is two authors. There are two authors who have combined their name to produce a lot of works, and this is a rom-com from them. Okay, so this is going to be what we're going to do in this live stream. So let's just start. So I have a bit of an opinion here that I have jolted down, and like I said, I was going for something like unpopular opinion, but after reading all these opinions, I feel like this is something that is very common. I won't call it unpopular, but something that is very common, maybe popular even. So let's start. That's just five of them. So we'll do a very quick discussion of it. The first one is that the grumpy sunshine trope is getting stale. So I guess this is something like opposites attract dynamic, and whether this is being overused and maybe even feeling lazy. So for me, I guess this is something of the trope of enemies to lovers or the bad boy good girl persona, and that is basically what it means to be the grumpy sunshine trope. Again, we see the stereotype very clearly. When we talk about the grumpy persona, we immediately think of a boy, and when we think of the sunshine persona, we immediately think of the girl. So this typecasting is very similar, very obvious, where the boy is supposed to be grumpy, the boy is supposed to be the bad persona, and the girl is supposed to be very cute and adorable and very much the cheering, bubbly type. And most often in these kind of stories, we see that the girl is very positive and the boy is very pessimistic, and somehow they meet. They have their obviously the opposite persona, so they meet and they have a lot of dynamics going on. But ultimately, in the end, the girl changes the boy, and they have a happily married life or happy ever after, right? But in most of the series stories, if you look at it, it gives out the message that the girl has to fix the boy, right? Or whoever is the flawed one, whoever has the flawed persona, the other person has to fix the other person. Why is it that? Why do we have to take it upon ourselves to fix somebody else's problem? The only thing matters is whether we are able to solve our issues, or even if we have to use that word, whether we have to fix ourselves. But most often in this kind of a love story, we see that uh, most often it's the girl has to fix the other boy's problem, thereby being the problem solver, and somehow they have their love story. And that kind of, the stories, they are very romanticized, they are very idealized to the point that we don't see a fault in it when we see it. But it is after, maybe after we think about it, after reflecting on it, that we actually see that. And I feel like stories are that really are, they are portrayed as romantic, but most often my personal opinion is that it's not our responsibility to fix other person's problem. If they change for themselves, that is for the good. But they can't, or they shouldn't fix themselves or change themselves for some other person, because it wouldn't stick to the long term. If we have to change something in our personality or behavior, it should be for ourselves, because that's the only way it's going to be long term. So that's my personal opinion. And for those of you who have joined in the chat with me, if you think the same, do like this video, or maybe even you could share your point of view in the comments as well. And hi to all of you who have joined in and who are really listening into it. So let me ask you, what is your opinion? Do you really think the enemies to lovers trope is really being overused, or the bad boy good girl persona it is being maybe too much romanticized? So let me know. That's food for thought. And let's see, let's move on to the second opinion. That is, third act breakups are overrated and unrealistic. So, most often, third act breakup means in a love story, there will always be that misunderstanding, something that is very predictable. Okay. Not the climax thing, just before the conclusion, just before having that happy ending, they would have some sort of a fight. Something that is very, maybe very basic, something that they could have solved with just talking to each other, but they would have that fight nevertheless, and there would be a huge misunderstanding and problem, let's see, succeeding it. And then we would have our, you know, love story or happily ever ending. And that is third act breakup. It's just there to create that tension. It's just there to make the readers believe that maybe these two won't end up each other. So again, that is something that's very overrated. We see that kind of a scene in almost every rom-com, be it book, movie, or series. We see that very often. And I'm not talking about something that is a big problem. It will be just a little bit of a, I don't know, I can't even think of an example, but most often it would be something that the person has heard from a third person, and without clarifying it with their partner or with their love interest, they would immediately trust the third person and be off. They would go to another country, they would maybe take a long vacation, they would switch off their phone, and we see that the love interest would be trying so hard to get back to them, but we won't see them together. And we as the viewer or reader, we would be under the impression that these two may not end up together. So that is just there to create that suspense, that question mark. But at the end, we see a grand gesture like maybe stopping them at the airport, or going all the way on a private jet to the love interest and declaring their confession that they have been holding it themselves for so long. We see that kind of a grand gesture and that happily ending. So that kind of a third act breakup, it is very overused. We see that all the time, and again, it is romanticized to the point that we think it is very realistic, but we don't see that happening in real life. That's the reality, that's the irony of it. And yes, it is very overused, and it has become more of a cliche even. So the opinion that, let's say, the opinion that it is overrated and unrealistic is very true. And I think it's high time we romanticize mature communication, because that really is what will happen to us in real life. That is what we will want in real life. If we have some sort of a misunderstanding or some sort of a fight, the only way to solve it is by communicating with each other. And most often that is not something that we realistically see. We see in movies or series or book, we see the other person doing the silent treatment or going away without clarification, and we think this is what we should do in our real life. And so that sort of leads to a confusion. It leads to a very distorted idea, and I don't really see a lot of mature communication coming through or portrayed as idealistic in a lot of books. But it's high time we romanticize it. It's high time we even talk about it, because that's realistically the only way we can solve a fight or any sort of a misunderstanding. So again, I really think communication should be the trope of rom-coms from now on. That's something that a lot of us would be able to appreciate. And also, it gives us that clear cut message that the next time anything goes wrong with our friends, maybe, or our loved ones, or even with our family members, talk. Don't go away, just talk and then make the decision. So, again, that's something that I would love to put across. I do think this sort of a third act breakup is something that we see a lot. It's common ingredient in a rom-com, but let it be there. If the author wants to create the tension, let it be there, but we should also talk about or portray mature communication as a key ingredient as well. So if you agree with me, then don't forget to like the video and also share your comments as well. And we are moving on to the third opinion, that is, grand gestures aren't always romantic, they can be manipulative. So I guess, like I said in the previous opinion, grand gestures where we see the hero is running through the airport and the heroine is just about to get into the flight, that there is no time, it's now or never, it's a do or die situation. And the hero is running through, he's screaming her name, and she finally turns around, and there is the big confession, the romantic confession that I have, it's always been you. That's sort of a thing that we usually see in a lot of movies. And or maybe it could be a room that is filled with flowers and the hero is standing in the middle of it, and from the moment I met you, I knew you were the one. Those kind of a romantic dialogues is very romantic. It's very something that we would be drawn to, we would be attracted to. And yes, but let me ask you a question. Do you actually see it happening in real life? It's very much of a question mark, because the first question would be, will we be able to afford it? Will we be able to afford a room full of flowers or the gift? And the second one is, even if we run through the airport to try to stop our loved one, do you really think the airport security is going to be there and allow us to do that? We'll be dragged through the exit and thrown out, for all I know. I mean, that's the realistic part of it. But it's nice to think something like this. It's nice to imagine something like this. But grand gestures in real life, it most often gets associated with love bombing, because it's a term that has come into being where we see grand gestures like this. And it's something called love bombing, where the other person would pour their love to us, but it would be a sort of a cover to sort of hide their, I don't know, it could be another intention or something that they have been doing behind our back. It could be that. That's most often realistically what we usually see when it comes to grand gestures, uh, like messaging us, giving us the time and the attention by messaging us throughout the day, but only to ghost us when we really need them. That is an example. I think that is a realistic example. So for me, grand gestures, I would love to read about it. I like to watch it and I like to hear about it, but I don't see it happening in real life. So I think the first thing is whether we're able to afford it, and the second thing is whether, you know, the first thing is afford it, and that sort of clears it up. But really, grand gestures are not something we usually see in real life. So again, it brings to question whether how much should we be influenced by what we see in rom-com. So that's one thing. Again, it's a food for thought. And for those of you who have joined me in that chat, for those of you who are saying hi, really tell me whether you have seen these grand gestures in your real life. Okay, I'm not talking about the social media, we see that all the time, but does these grand gestures happen in real life? So we are moving on to the next opinion, that is, many rom-com ignore personal growth outside of relationship. So for me, I do think it is important that a rom-com shouldn't just include what it essentially should, that is romance and comedy, but it should also talk about something that is very much ignored in a lot of books and movies, and where the character, they have a good love story, and they should, because it's a rom-com. But most often we don't see their friendship, we don't see them getting heartbroken and healing. We see the heartbroken part, but we don't necessarily see the healing part, or the character finding their identity back or focusing on the individuality. We see them going through an identity crisis. We see them losing the individuality. We see them getting heartbroken. But do we really see them going through that journey and healing in the process of it, achieving their individuality, getting back their identity on their own? And I'm not saying they should get their identity after they meet their significant other. They can, it's a very subjective thing. But most often the individualistic aspect of the main character, that's something that we don't really see a lot. But one book that comes to my mind is Eat Pray Love by starring Julia Roberts, by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's a very wonderful movie and a book. I first watched the movie, and then I came to know that there was a book. So I went back and read the book, and I really loved it, because there the main character has a heartbroken era, and she travels, and through that she undergoes a journey of healing. She finds herself, and then she meets a significant other. And that really gives us a sort of a lesson that for us to find happiness, we have to be the happiness ourselves. Most often we see that you have to be somewhere, go somewhere, or find someone in order to find happiness. Why can't we find happiness on our own? That should be the question. And I would love a book that would discuss this healing process, that would discuss maybe, the process of finding happiness in ourselves. And also, even if we go through an identity crisis, how are we able to get back into that individuality? How do we get back our identity? I would love to see a rom-com that would discuss all of these things. And in this book, we do see that a bit. There are elements of miscommunication as well, misunderstanding as well, but it's not something that is very overrated, because we do see the reason, it is very valid reason, personally. And the book also discusses, like I said, the process of healing and the process of identity. So that's why I thought I would review this as well in this Q&A. Okay, so, with that, we come to our final opinion, and that is love at first sight, romance often lack chemistry. Uh, okay, for me, it's, if you ask me personally, I don't know how much love at first sight actually work in real life, because in the movies and in the rom-com, there's this very typical dialogue of, from the moment I met you, I knew you were the one. And realistically, I have never experienced that, so I'm very curious as to how does that happen. But for those of you who have experienced that, you are truly lucky. But for me, I love a good slow burn. I love the point where two characters, they meet up. They may not like each other. It may not be love at first sight, but then they eventually get to know each other. They have their bit of a comparison and contrasting and everything, but they get to know each other, and eventually they fall in love. So I love that eventual process of falling in love, and that's why for me personally, I love a good slow burn. And so the love at first sight is something that we usually see in a lot of rom-com, agreed. But does it really happen in real life? It's something I think that is very subjective. So if you could share your opinions with me, that would be amazing. Do you believe in love at first sight, or do you believe in a slow burn? Just type it out in the comment section. Okay? Love at first sight or slow burn? Just type it out in the comment section. I would love to read about it. So the opinion is that it often lack chemistry. I guess when we see it in rom-coms, in the movies, or when we read about it, it sounds romantic and it sounds very lucky. That's the another part. Because most often all of us go through this trial and error process of getting heartbroken and then healing and getting broken again and then healing and then end up finding our significant other. For some people, it is very lucky that they meet their maybe the future partner very early on in life. And for me, I guess in rom-coms, we do see the characters meeting each other early on, and then they have a lot of time apart from each other, and then they come back, and then there is the iconic dialogue of I always knew you were the one. From the moment I met you, I knew you were the one, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I guess for me personally, since I never experienced that, I don't know how to feel about it. And I'm not sure if it lacks chemistry, but it's definitely something that is out there for the fairy tale romance. And yes, so the popular opinion is that maybe when we see characters, falling in love with each other right from the get go, the first question would be, how did that happen? And maybe it sort of shows, a hurry sort of a rush, and that's most often why love at first sight maybe may not be experienced by a lot of people in real life. So yes, a lot few people are saying hello, hello, and where are you from? I'm from India itself, and so nice to meet you. And so we have finished our opinions, our common opinions about rom-com. So if you were listening in, do let me know what you think about these comments. I'm from Kerala in India. So with that, we have reached our best part of the review, the live stream, that is Christina Lauren. Okay, that we are going to discuss Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. So those of you who are in the chat, do let me know what kind of your books do you enjoy. Do you really like reading rom-coms? Do you enjoy romance? Or have you ever read something like this by Christina Lauren, some other book by Christina Lauren? Let me know in the comments. And with that, we are going to start our review. Okay. So this book, it is a contemporary romance, like I said, but it most often combines adventure as well. This is not just a typical city romance. This happens in a wilderness. Okay. So there are a few comments saying that there's a favorite genre of mystery thrillers. If you like that, do subscribe my channel and you could check out my playlist called Thrilling Thrillers. I recommend and review a lot of mystery thrillers in my channel. I love mystery thrillers as well. I love Agatha Christie. She's my favorite author. Okay. So we also discuss a bunch of genres, and today we are going to discuss this. It's a romance. So, like I said, this is a contemporary romance. It the trope is second chance. Okay, and like I said, it combines adventure as well. And this is written by two people. So you see the word Christina Lauren, and you think it's a single person, but no, there are two people, that is Christina Hopes and Lauren Billings. So the reason why I'm reading from my pad is that I read the whole book and then I make notes about it, what I think. I make notes as I read so that it will be easy for me to give you the review. Otherwise, it would take a lot of time if I did think and lot. So that's why I make the small points and I check it when I'm giving the review. Okay. So I do and read the whole book because that's the only way you can give an honest review. Otherwise, there would not be any connection about what the story is and the review I'll be giving. So, like we said, the author is Christina Lauren, which is two people, and I can't remember the name of the author much. That's why I'm reading out. That is Christina Hobbs and Lauren Billings. So, like I said, it's a story that is about romance, and the story is about Lily, and our hero is Leo. Okay, so they basically met each other way back when Lily's father, who is a treasure hunter, uh, he's a famous treasure hunter, and he conducts these treasure hunting trips. So that's when Leo comes to the wilderness, the countryside, to live with Lily and her father to sort of understand about the whole process, and that's how they meet and they fall in love. And then Leo goes back to his city where he encounters a bit of a family problem. I don't want to expand it a lot because if I end up saying the entire story, you might not want to read this. So I'm trying to give a spoiler free review as much as possible. So, yes. So they fall in love, and then Leo goes back to the city where he encounters a family emergency, and they're not able to connect any longer. So Lily is under the impression that Leo has broken up with her, and then she is heartbroken. And her father also dies. Lily's father dies at the same time. He becomes very sick. She has to take care of him, and he eventually dies. So Lily becomes the heir to her father's treasure hunting legacy. Okay, because she doesn't have any other money. This is the only way she'll be able to keep up the house she has, the farm she has. So she takes up the treasure hunting, let's say the legacy. Okay, and after years on end, Leo and his friends make a trip back to the farm, and his friends, without consulting with him, signs up for a treasure hunting challenge. Leo doesn't know about this. He only knows about this at the very end when they reach the place. And who is taking them on that treasure hunt? It is Lily. So the exes meet each other, and that's where the romance happens. So we see this journey where they are going on a treasure hunting legacy. It's Leo's friends as well. They are very, very interested because there is this uh, you know uh, the hidden treasure out there. And there's a question, why treasure hunting if you have a farm? See, treasure hunting, it's not a very solid money income or income earning process. They can only do it during the seasonal, when there's the when there's the tourist coming in. So that's why on the side she also has this farm. So treasure hunting is not a very stable income earning process, and that's why she's really trying to make the ends meet. Okay, so yes, like we said, they are going on a treasure hunting, let's say, process, and the friends are very much interested in this uh, hidden treasure that they think it's out there. And Lily is not really a believer of this kind of a treasure hunting stories. Her father was a very notorious treasure hunter. He used to draw maps, and he was very much invested in finding out the hidden treasures. But Lily was not much interested in it, but she has to do this because she doesn't have any other choice. She doesn't have any other career option. She's not able to make the ends meet, and if she doesn't do this, because there is some sort of an income, if she doesn't do this, then she will lose her house. Okay, so that's why she is here. And they go into the wilderness to do the treasure hunting, and they come across a lot of danger. And how can I say this with without spoiling? But let's just say that the treasure hunting story is not just a myth. Okay, you get the feeling that it is a myth, but at the end, let's just say they do chance upon a certain treasure that is not that is not really metaphorical or anything. They literally come upon a treasure that will help Lily and the friends of Leo, but there are a lot of danger that happens along the way, and there is a lot of violence that happens because you see the greed for money coming in. People who do, you know go to this treasure hunting. Some may do it for fun, but sometimes the idea of getting that treasure, it could get into your head so much so that for that money you will be willing to do almost anything. And you meet characters like this in this book among Leo's friends, who is really even ready to murder someone just so that person could get all that money. And I'm not exaggerating, you do meet that kind of a character here. That's why I'm saying that this is not a light read. This is a rom-com. You do see the elements of romance between Lily and Leo. And like I said, this is a second chance romance. But you know, more than comic elements, you do see a lot of a darker plot and a bit of a violence. The fight that comes in, the the limit a person is go ready to go through just so that person can get money. So the greed for money is a common theme in this book. So that's something about the book. And when it comes to theme, like I said, there's a second chance romance, and whether you will be willing to give another chance or opportunity to a romance that you lost somewhere in the way. And like I said, there is the theme of adventure and legacy. You see this, they are embarking to the wilderness on an adventure. It's not a city romance. So that kind of a change is something that I really like. You don't see that sort of a setting a lot in a lot of rom-coms. It's mostly the city or maybe a countryside or something of that sort. But this is something different in the sense that they are going into the wilderness. So someone is asking for the end of the story. Do you really want me to spoil it? Because otherwise there won't be fun in reading the book. Okay, let me see. At the end of the book, they are going on this journey for the treasure hunting. Do they chance upon the treasure? Yes. Okay. And is there a happy ending? Yes. And let's say not all the characters that we meet at the start, um, you know, end up when we come to the ending of the story, we don't see a lot of the characters that we see at the start of the story. That's why I said the limit that people are willing to go through for the greed of money is really something that is heartbreaking and very much shocking. So a lot of characters that we see in the story, they lose their life towards the end of the story. And but that is why I said the plot is something dark. We do see a lot of fight and violence, and all for this treasure. So I hope I answered your question. And if you're asking for the dark plot, it is this: they are going on the treasure hunting. They do know this myth of a treasure that is buried down there, and that's the whole point of arranging this treasure hunting. And that's just it. When they go through, we see a lot of characters. Some believe in this myth, some doesn't, and there is this fight, a disagreement that goes on. And we see a lot of fight that ultimately, unfortunately, end up in a lot of violence. So that's something about this book. And what is my favorite part? That is the thing that I'm coming to, the setting. I love the setting because, like I said, in most rom-com, we do see something that is happening in the city or the countryside. But here, we literally go into the wilderness. And that's not a setting I really see a lot in a lot of rom-com. So I really love the setting. That is my favorite thing. And also this theme of treasure hunting. Again, that's not something that we usually see. We usually see maybe fake dating or a campus setting, students uh, going through their school days or student days, a campus sort of feel. That's the usual romance we see. But here, there's actually an adventure in the process of a treasure hunting journey. So that's also something that I really like because it's very unique. You don't see that sort of an element in a lot of rom-com. So let's see what else. So this is actually what the book is about, and I really hope you will enjoy this, because if you really like adventure, if you really like Indiana Jones and you want that kind of a vibe in a book, in a rom-com, then definitely check out this book. I think you will enjoy it. And I would say this is a rom-com that where the author took a lot of risk at writing. Like I said, a unique setting and a unique theme. And also you don't see a lot of second chance romance out there. So for that, the author, I would say the authors took a very good risk, and most often they did succeed it. Okay. So I think you would enjoy reading this book. And for those of you who enjoy audiobooks, I'm pretty sure there would be an audiobook. I haven't checked it. So I'm pretty sure there must be an audiobook out there of this. Do look it up. Or okay, I will see if I can get maybe a suggestion list of audiobooks out there. I haven't really done a video on it because I'm someone who prefer reading. I don't do a lot of audiobook, but I will surely take this suggestion into account, and I will try to do a video on audiobook recommendation. So I hope you will enjoy it. So do subscribe my channels, because I will keep this suggestion in mind, and I will do maybe a long form video on audiobook recommendations. Okay. For me, I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks. I only listen to one, and that was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I like classics as well. So definitely, I would keep this in mind. Thank you for that suggestion. So, like I said, if you like rom-coms, if you want a bit of an adventure mixed up with it, definitely try out this book. And I hope you enjoyed our Q&A session where we discussed common opinions about rom-coms, whether, the common trope of bad boy, good girl persona, that sort of a trope is overrated or overused. We have discussed about grand gestures and how much realistic that is. And we have also discussed the book, the rom-com, Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. This is, I think, the first time I'm reading a book by this author. So I'm really open to any sort of suggestion that you may have. If you could maybe tell me your favorite books, or if you could give me book recommendation of your own, that would be amazing. I would love to read it up and give my personal point of view on it. And like I said, these reviews are completely subjective, because I can only give my point of view and my personal opinion about it. And I would love to hear your opinions about it as well, because that's the beauty of, you know subjective reviews. We can get a lot of different opinions, and we could combine it together to really form a genuine idea on it. And we could also learn to appreciate different opinions as well. So someone is asking whether I like financial education book. I haven't read a lot about it. I think there was also a question about there were any self improvement books. I don't read a lot, but I do have a playlist where I think I have only reviewed Ikigai. Other than that, I think I have read The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Yes, that's the some of the books that I have read. I would love to read self-improvement books. I would love to review it. I haven't really come across any financial education book, but for self-improvement books, if you could maybe give me recommendations of your own, I would love to give it a read and maybe review it as well. So yes, so we have come to the end of today's live stream. And thank you so much for joining in, for all of you who have joined in at the chat. And thank you so much for talking to me as well. And You should read Thinking Slow and Fast book. Okay, that's something. That's a good recommendation. Thank you. I would definitely check it up. Thinking Slow and Fast. Okay, I will definitely check it up, and that's not something I have read it so far. So that thank you for that book recommendation. I would definitely check it out, and if it is possible, I would try to review it as well. And I would also keep in mind the suggestion for the audiobook recommendation. Right, I would definitely um, make a video on it at the earliest. So yes, I'm going to wind up now. And thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for interacting as well. And if you really like this sort of a live stream, if you really like this sort of a discussion, then definitely do consider subscribing my channel and liking this live stream as well. So I'll be back with more reviews, recommendations, and book hauls. So see you soon. Have a very nice day.